Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about over MSRP sales with Ford's product and what Ford could do to actually remedy the problem. Before getting the video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And if you're not subscribed already, I'd recommend subscribing because I will be giving away $1,000 to one of you that is subscribed to the Ben Hardy network of channels. And so with that being said, let's get into the video. So over the last couple of years, pretty much everything has been selling over MSRP. There was a point last year where literally every single manufacturer's average vehicle sale price was over MSRP. It was just crazy. Now things have calmed down slightly, but they haven't calmed down for Ford. And at this point, it doesn't look like they will ever calm down for Ford, because even before this crazy COVID market, Ford had tons of their product being sold over MSRP by dealerships. If you look at the Gen 2 Raptor when it was first released for the 2017 model year, dealers were charging $20,000, $30,000 over sticker all day for that truck. And then if you look at the Shelby GT350 and GT350R that also were released before COVID, those went for crazy amounts over MSRP. And even the Shelby GT500 that was released for the 2020 model year went for an obscene amount over MSRP when the car market was actually pretty soft. And so this isn't like a COVID issue that's causing Ford's vehicles to be sold for crazy amounts over MSRP. That's a little part of it. It's more of this has been always happening, right? These over MSRP sales are hurting Ford's image a massive amount, and Ford knows this. This is why Ford is looking into doing direct to customer sales with their electric vehicles to basically prevent dealerships from charging crazy markups on their product. But obviously, that is not exactly going to happen because there's 3,000 Ford dealerships here in the US, and these 3,000 Ford dealerships are worth a lot of money, and so they've got a lot of money to spend on legal expenses if Ford decides to do things that they don't exactly like. This obviously puts Ford in a strange predicament where they don't want their vehicles to be marked up over MSRP, but they also have to work with dealerships. Now, obviously everyone's against dealerships in today's world because Tesla, for example, doesn't have any dealerships, but there's a lot of upsides to dealerships, right? It allows a manufacturer to scale up at a much quicker rate because they're not taking on all of the risk. It also makes it so that servicing these vehicles that they are selling to their customers is a lot easier. Just look at Tesla's whole servicing situation. They've done a really good job with what they have, but it's a heck of a lot easier to service a traditional car than it is to service a Tesla. That's all I have to say. And so Ford has to work with these dealerships. And so here's what I think Ford could do that would probably not get them sued. Again, I don't know. I'm not like a legal person. This is just me as a car journalist just throwing out ideas. I think they could do this and basically get around the dealerships doing annoying things, and then they themselves would most likely not get sued, and then this would get rid of a lot of over MSRP sales. The first thing that Ford could do that they've actually already done with a vehicle is make people sign a contract where they can't sell a vehicle within a certain amount of time. They did this with the Ford GT, where people taking delivery of this vehicle couldn't sell it for the first 2 years. And I might be wrong on this, but I think that I think it was John Cena. I think he sold his before the 2-year mark and he got in trouble with Ford. Just Google it. Again, sorry if I'm wrong on that. I don't think I'm wrong on that, but anyways, right? They had people sign a 2-year contract, and so it was in hopes to get rid of flippers, basically, because it was like, okay, you got to have this car for 2 years. If you sell it before the 2 years is up, you're going to get in legal trouble, basically, with Ford. And so that's what they could do to these Raptors, to the Shelby GT500, to the Raptor R that's coming out, and to Ford Broncos. Any specialty product that Ford releases, they could do this so that they could, potentially get rid of flippers. But it doesn't fully get rid of flippers because there's a lot of people that then still will go in and try to get the vehicle and then they never drive it. And then they sell it once that time comes up. And that's been shown with the Ford GT because now there's tons of Ford GTs for sale after the 2-year contract has ended with delivery miles on them. And so it's people that were obviously flippers. And so it's like, oh, I'm just going to buy this investment, hold it for 2 years and make a ton of money. And guess what? Those people are, right? Because that was originally a $500,000 car. And now it's like I think $2 million car in today's market. So, right, they're obviously making quite a bit of money. So that could be a potential, I guess, Band-Aid, but I don't think that would be a perfect fix for the situation. Now, the next thing that Ford could do is something similar to what Porsche has done with their GT cars and basically go after dealers that are trying to charge markups on these vehicles. If you guys don't know, Porsche GT cars have pretty much been ruined by the resale market because most people buying these cars aren't actual enthusiasts. They're just people trying to make a quick buck. And so what happens is any new Porsche GT car gets released and the same group of flippers basically buys all of them, and then they go and flip them for crazy profits. And then the amount of money that people spend on these GT cars from Porsche ends up being so obscene that they don't actually use it for what's intended to be used for, right? As a track-focused car. They instead park it in their garage and hope that it goes up in value, and then they themselves flip it, and so on and so forth. And so Porsche basically spends tons of time engineering and developing a car, and then it never gets used. So what Porsche did to try to get around this is they went after dealerships, and they basically cut dealership allocation if dealers were charging obscene amounts over MSRP. And again, this was kind of another like Band-Aid type situation where it didn't fully fix the problem because obviously GT cars from Porsche are still being flipped for crazy amounts of money, but it did make the situation just a little bit better. Now, the third thing that Ford could do is basically bar people from purchasing products from them in the future if they decide to flip their specialty products. This is something that Porsche has actually done. I watched a VinWiki episode I think a year ago, and one of the guys on it was talking about how he can't buy any more new Porsche cars because he just went and kept flipping them. Ford could do a similar thing with their specialty products. Basically, they could just, they know where these vehicles are going because the dealerships have to submit to Ford who they've sold the vehicle to. And so they can just keep this database and they can see if these vehicles get sold or not. And if this person goes and sells it, right, then they can go, oh, that's a flipper. And then they can just be like, nope, that person can't buy from us in the future. And I don't know the legality on this, but I don't think that Ford even has to officially announce this. And I don't think that it's, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think this is against the law because Ford can choose who they do and do not sell their product to. And so obviously this could potentially hurt Ford because they're getting rid of customers, but at the same time, I don't think it would be because these aren't real customers. These are people that are just buying cars to flip them for a quick buck, and they're flipping them to people that would have actually been customers but aren't a customer directly to Ford, because the allocation was given to someone who's a flipper instead of an enthusiast. So there's pros and cons to each of those ideas. And again, none of them is exactly a perfect fix. And so maybe a combination of a few of the ideas would be a great fix. So maybe it'd be a situation where Ford makes customers that are buying these specialty products sign a contract saying they're not going to sell it for a certain amount of time. And then Ford cuts allocation to dealers that charge over MSRP for specialty vehicles. And I think a really good way to do this would just be to cut those specialty vehicles. So if a dealership's charging over MSRP for Raptors, just cut that dealership's Raptor allocation completely and give it to a dealership that is not charging over MSRP. And something that Ford could do is basically just give the customers from one dealership to the other dealership that's not charging over MSRP. Again, I don't know the legality on that. I don't know if that's something that would get Ford sued, but I think that is a potential fix. So basically just because these people would have their names in a database with Ford, just send an email out to these people saying, hey, your dealership is doing something that we do not want to have happen within our company. And so we're going to send your allocation over to this dealership. This is the dealership you are now going to purchase from. Again, so maybe contract plus that. And then obviously if customers decide to go and then flip these vehicles, then just Ford would very easily be able to see this happen, right? They would be able to see that this vehicle is not owned by this person anymore. And so then, boom, then they can be like, yep, you're a flipper, so we're not going to sell vehicles to you at this point. And so again, maybe a combination. And I think that whatever the fix is, again, this is just my ideas, whatever the fix is, Ford needs to get it done very, very quickly. I think this is imperative, especially to get it done before the Raptor R is officially released and able to be ordered by dealers. Because I can tell you right now, The Ford Raptor R is most likely going to be the most flipped vehicle in Ford's history, I believe. And it is going to have the craziest markups that you have ever seen on a vehicle. And it is going to seriously ruin Ford's image from a brand perspective with enthusiasts, especially with Raptor enthusiasts, which are very important to Ford's brand because there's a lot of them. And here's why. Obviously, the market's been crazy, right, over these last couple of years, supply chain issues, all the stuff that I've mentioned in tons of videos. And so you have that leading up to the release of the Ford Raptor R. But then on top of that, you have people knowing that they can make money off of flipping vehicles now more than ever. There's more flippers now than there ever has been in like the history of the automobile world. I'm pretty sure like it seems like everyone is flipping vehicles. Like everyone that I talk to that wouldn't have even thought about flipping vehicles in the past is flipping vehicles right now because they know they can to make a profit. And so between the fact that the Raptor R is probably going to be pretty limited in production and that there's more flippers now than there ever was, it's probably going to be a truck where nobody's going to end up keeping it and everyone's going to end up flipping it. I can tell you again, there's 3,000 Ford dealers here in the US. And I get emails from people on a daily basis and messages and everything from people on a daily basis offering me their Ford Raptor R allocation because they know that I'm looking for a Ford Raptor R. And with how many emails I've gotten, it sounds like pretty much every single Ford dealership in the United States that has someone on their list to buy a Raptor R intends to flip it. And Ford, if you're watching this video, I think that's imperative that you know that like, again, me just being an enthusiast and mentioning, hey, I'm looking to buy a Raptor R is getting bombarded every single day with emails from people saying, hey, I'm first in line at my dealership. I'll sell you my allocation for $50 over sticker, for $100,000 over sticker, just obscene amounts of money. And the thing I've been emailing these people back is, obviously, I would buy one at MSRP. I'm not going to be paying any markups, but I'm sad to see you flipping this truck. I'm sad that you're just purchasing this truck to flip it. You're not actually going to enjoy it as an enthusiast. It's just, it's true, right? It's sad to see. And that's pretty much going to sum things up for today's video. And obviously there is not a perfect fix for this situation, but I have full faith in Ford to find some sort of answer to fix the situation because frankly, it's been out of hand for years at this point and they know it. It's not like they're blind to this. They know what's happening, but there's just so many different hoops they have to jump through to find a fix for this. But again, I feel like they're eventually going to find something. And once they do find a reasonable fix, it is going to, I believe, revitalize the brand like you have never seen before because there is going to be a massive amount of enthusiasts that will actually be able to get a hold of these specialty products being sold by Ford. I mean, think about this for a second. Think about if people were buying Raptors by the drove and actually taking them off-road and using them as they were intended to be used. Think about how much cooler the truck would be and how much better Ford's brand image would be instead of people buying the truck and then flipping it and then flipping it and people buying the truck and never taking it off-road because it's too expensive to take off-road because they had to pay $30,000 over sticker for the truck, right? Again, Ford knows this. So we'll see what happens with time. Let me know what you guys think in terms of something that Ford could do as a fix, right? If you were magically made CEO of Ford, what would you do to prevent these over MSRP sales if you could just like wave a magic wand and fix the issue? And with that being said, I'll see all of you in the next video.